Grand Rising, and welcome to another segment of CLG Viewpoint. I am Cindy Lorraine Grais, and it is such an honor to have you here today. Well, today is March the 19th, 2024. We will be covering two short videos on Dolores Cannon. On international news, Duterte's son vows to fight back against father's ICC arrest. Troops on the streets of Lima as Peru's government calls state of emergency to tackle crime wave. On local news, nearly 24 BC real estate professionals face sanctions for working with fake mortgage broker. BC hydro rates to increase. Nearly 230 transition housing spaces open for women, children leaving violence. And Halifax bridges officially toll-free. But more work still to be done. Well, each segment I start with a sage clearing. Sage clearing is, for some of you who haven't heard, it's a process of clearing out the negative energies, leaving everything in our space, divine love and divine light. I light up a sage stick here. To all low energy entities, you are healed, forgiven, enlightened, and sent back to your perfect place, escorted by my spiritual guides. And so it is. I'm Divine Love, and I am so grateful. Now on to Dolores Cannon.
You never know what kind of a plan or contract you have made on the other side before you come in. So don't try to get out of it too soon. The best is yet to come. You don't know what the rest of the contract is. First, you have to get rid of all the old junk, the garbage and the baggage out of your life. And then you can move into what you really came for. So many people come to see me and they said, I want out. I want to commit suicide. I don't want to be here anymore. They don't realize what they've contracted to do. And of course, if you get out too soon, you got to come back and do it again. You don't get out of anything. That's not the way the law of karma works.
On to the second video.
Information comes from, and where the healing of my work comes from, is this power that I'm telling you about. That's why I said having a past life regression, anybody can do it that knows how. That's the tip of the iceberg. You're going to get some information, but you're not going to get what is possible. The part that I get my information from, I call it the subconscious, but it's not the subconscious the way it's defined by psychiatrists. That's a childish part of the mind. That's the part of the mind that you use when you're doing habits. Stop smoking and lose weight. That is not the part that I work with. I call it the subconscious because I didn't know what else to call it. And then I found a way to call it in, and now I work with it constantly. But you may say, if you want to define it, you may say it's the oversoul, the higher self, the higher consciousness. It is so big and so huge, it has the answers to everything. It has total knowledge. It is so full of law, but where my information...
Now on to international. International news. Duterte's son vows to fight back against father's ICC arrest. RT News, March 18, 2025. Former Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte has been transported to The Hague to face charges of crimes against humanity. The son of former Philippines President Rodrigo Duterte has vowed to fight back against his father's detention by the International Criminal Court, the ICC. Sebastian-based Duterte, currently the mayor of Davao City, called on supporters to stand up against what he claims is the illegal arrest of his father. Rodrigo Duterte, 79 years of age, was arrested by Philippines authorities at Manila's International Airport last week and flown to The Hague, where he is standing trial on base. Duterte has claimed that his father's arrest sets a dangerous precedent, while other officials in the Philippines have also criticized the extradition of the former leader. "We will stand up and we will fight back," he said. The ICC began investigating Duterte's anti-drug campaign in 2018, focusing on allegations of extrajudicial killings, including and police brutality. Activists claimed innocent people, including children, were killed, while police insisted they acted in self-defense. Officially, 6,200 people were killed, though experts believe the toll is much higher. Some human rights advocates have called the arrest of former president illegal, as the Philippines formally withdrew from the ICC in 2019 on Duterte's orders. The Hague-based court insists that it retains jurisdiction over crimes that may have been committed while the country was a signatory to it. Rodrigo Duterte's lawyers have filed a petition accusing the Philippines government of kidnapping and arguing that his extradition violated both domestic law and the ICC regulations. On to the video.
Officials have slammed the arrest and extradition of former President Rodrigo Duterte to The Hague. He's standing trial on murder charges related to the crackdown on the drug trade during his tenure. And questions have also been raised about the validity and focus of the International Criminal Court itself.
What happened to former President Rodrigo Roa Duterte, the manner in which he was taken by the ICC through Interpol and the PNP, Philippine National Police, under the ground command of Major General Nicolas Torre, raises serious concerns about due process and the rule of law. The lack of transparency and apparent disregard for established legal protocols sets a dangerous precedent.
Personal thoughts. The officials in the Philippines have criticized the extradition of the former leader Rodrigo Duterte as illegal and that he was kidnapped. What do you think? Truth will always prevail over injustice. Troops on the street of Lima as Peru's government calls state of emergency to tackle crime wave. AP World News, March the 18th, 2025. Commuters and residents in Lima were facing new security measures on Tuesday after Peru's government declared a state of emergency and lawmakers to seek the removal of the interior minister. They were combating growing crime rates. National Police Director Victor Sanabrio announced that there will be an increase in patrols at train stations and bus stations. There were tens of thousands of commuters gathering each morning. Peru's military on Monday announced it would deploy 1,000 soldiers in Lima to patrol key areas such as train stations and transport stations. Some residents of the city of 8 million people said they still felt unsafe, while local media reports said there was a little sign of extra security at transport stations during the morning. "We've been abandoned and left to fend for ourselves," said local president Pedro Quispe, 48, as he waited for a bus that would take him to the city center. "If you get on the bus, you get shot. If you go to work, you can get asked for extortion payments, he said. Peru's government declared the state of emergency on Monday as a group of legislators prepared a vote of no confidence against Interior Minister Juan Jose Santibanez, who has been accused of failing to stem growing levels of crime. And on to the video.
Ahora, después de tener aproximadamente más de 100 muertos en visita, producto de la extorsión y el sicariato, y que no ha habido ningún comunicado del gobierno, fallece lamentablemente un cantante de cumbia muy querido de mi país y al día siguiente declaran en emergencia. Estas reacciones no tienen planificación, no tienen estrategia, son reacciones para el titular.
A estos malditos asesinos les digo que estoy pensando seriamente en la pena de muerte.
Personal thoughts. Where's the military to help the people at the transport stations and to fight this injustice? They do need help. On to local news. Nearly 24 BC real estate professionals face sanctions for working with fake mortgage broker. Buy-in holiday published on March 14, 2025. The agency that regulates mortgage brokers in BC says discipline proceedings are completed or ongoing for nearly 24 people who use the services of unregistered mortgage broker J. Kanth Chaudhary. The BC Financial Service Authorities has been pursuing cases against real estate agents and mortgage brokers who worked with Chaudhary for several years. The agency says it has investigated more than 25 people who allegedly participated in, benefited from, and helped to participate and facilitate in Chaudhary's activities. Real estate licensees involved with the Chaudhary are alleged to have referred their clients to his non-compliant services and or to have used his services in their own mortgage applications and misrepresented their income and savings information, the BCFSA said in a fact sheet about the case published on Thursday. Mortgage broker registrants are alleged to have submitted applications to lenders on behalf of Chaudhary and at his direction while Chaudhary was not registered as a mortgage broker. A total of 23 people have been charged in connection to the investigation, according to the BCFSA. 15 of the cases have been concluded, most of them through consent orders. 8 real estate licensees and 1 mortgage broker are awaiting hearings, the agency said. More than $500 million in mortgages. In 2019, the Provincial Register of Mortgage Brokers, which has since been made a part of the BCFSA, issued an urgent cease and desist order against Chaudhary. That document, which remains available online, indicates that Chaudhary was involved in a total of 875 files between 2009 and mid-2019, arranging more than $500 million in mortgages and generating nearly $6 million in client fees and referral fees for himself in the process. While Chaudhary was a registered mortgage broker from April 25, 2007 through to December 21, 2007, and again from January 4, 2008 through October 20, 2008. His registration was suspended for 120 days beginning in late 2008. for conducting business in a manner that was prejudicial to the public interest, according to the fact sheet. Chaudhary did not renew his registration at the completion of his suspension. The BCFSA said, adding that he continued to carry on business for nearly a decade using a complex scheme. After issuing the cease and desist order in 2019, the agency turned its investigator efforts to unraveling what it called Chaudhary's extensive web of unregistered mortgage broker activity, penalties, and license suspensions. The 5 consent orders related to the Chaudhary investigation that the BCFSA published on its website this week were the Afanse Jarsenes, Melania Golshani, Homhayun, which is Sam Harji Karimlu, and Sena Sadat Nurzadeh, and Shane Ballard. Jarsenes, a real estate trading service representative, agreed to pay a $50,000 disciplinary penalty plus enforcement expenses. She must complete a remedial education course to become licensed again. Golshani, also a trading services representative, agreed to have her license canceled and pay a $75,000 discipline penalty plus enforcement expenses. Those penalties are the same as the ones agreed to by Karim Liu, who was also a trading services representative in his consent order. Nurzadeh agreed to a cancellation of her license to perform real estate trading services, but her consent order does not include any discipline penalties, only enforcement expenses. Ballard was registered as a sub-mortgage broker, but is currently unregistered according to his consent order, in which he agreed to pay a discipline penalty of $50,000 plus enforcement expenses. Ballard also agreed that he is not eligible to reapply for registration as either a mortgage broker or sub-mortgage broker and will never do so. The BCFSA's fact sheet and news release on the Chaudhary investigation also lists several other discipline files related to the case, some of which CTV News has covered in the past. At the time of that previous coverage, the documents related to the files were redacted to remove Chaudhary's name before publication. Former realtor Rashin Rohani surrendered her license in December 2023. But the BCFSA's chief hearing officer, Andrew Pendre, nevertheless ordered it canceled in a sanctions decision published last June. Pendre also ordered her to pay a total of $130,000 in discipline penalties and enforcement expenses related to her misconduct. Rohani has appealed the decision to BC's Financial Services Tribunal. Personal thoughts. Crime does not pay. All corruption will be dealt with under natural law. BC hydro rates to increase in 2025 to 2026, but remain among lowest in North America. The Canadian Press, March the 17th, 2025. British Columbia's energy minister says the province is setting annual rate increases for electricity for the next 2 years in response to rising demand for power and economic uncertainty. Adrian Dick says the government will be submitting a rate stability direction to the BC Utilities Commission for approval of a BC Hydro rate increase of 3.75% on April 1st, and for the same bump next year. He says power costs in BC remain among the lowest in North America, and each of the increases comes to about $3.75 per month for the average residential household that currently pays about $100. Dix says BC Hydro needs the increases to help cover costs of the rising demand for electricity and to complete the Site C Dam project on the Peace River. He says the move is also aimed at bolstering the provincial crown utility during the unprecedented threat to the economy posed by the threatened steep tariffs on Canadian goods from U.S. President Donald Trump. The minister says BC Hydro's cumulative rate increases between 2017 and 2018 and 2026 to 2027 will be 12.4% below cumulative inflation. Adjusting for inflation, he says BC electricity costs the same as it did 40 years ago. I have a video here from Global News.
Added to the list of things getting more expensive, BC Hydro customers are set to pay 3.75% more this year and next year to heat their homes and keep the lights on. It means the average BC household will pay just shy of $4 a month more for heat and electricity. It's the result of a directive to the BC Utilities Commission from Energy Minister Adrian Dix.
We think this is the right approach. It provides clarity, stability in the system. It lets everyone know what the rates are.
The rate increases take effect April 1st and again April 1st, 2026. Dix says the move is necessary in light of economic uncertainty due to tariff threats from the United States. He said even with the rate increase, British Columbians have among the lowest electricity rates in North America, paying almost half of what Albertans pay. And the hike stays below cumulative inflation, he said. Dix also noted that BC has had the lowest electricity rate increases in Canada over the last decade. Some in Vancouver seem unfazed by the price jump.
I'm a renter. I don't see a huge difference in that with my bills personally.
I'm lucky to be in a position to pay an extra 4%, but Site C Dam and all sorts of other investments that we need in our infrastructure network, if it's kind of for a good reason, then I personally don't have any objection.
One factor behind the rate hikes, the $16 billion Site C Dam, a project that will take taxpayers 80 years to pay off. The dam began generating power last year, with 3 power generating units operating. 3 more units are set to go online later this year. BC Conservative leader John Rustad noted BC Hydro previously said the project would result in 12% increases to hydro bills. He says the province is hiding the rate hikes coming down the pipe.
We need transparency for people in British Columbia with regards to where our electricity rates are going. So this 3.75 is a stopgap, and it certainly does not answer the questions that are out there with regards to how much our electricity is going to cost going forward.
Dix did not rule out future rate hikes. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
I still don't understand what Mr. Dix was saying. Hydro rates are extremely high. My own personal hydro rate is extremely high, and many people can't pay those high rates. When we have an abundance of wealth due to the enormous amount of natural resources in Canada, there is absolutely no need to increase electricity rates. Under natural law, electricity is free. Yes, free in Canada. It's an essential service. All political officials will be held accountable for putting undue stress and financial burden onto the people of Canada. Housing and Municipal Affairs nearly 230 transition housing spaces open for women, children leaving violence. Women and children at risk of or leaving violence have access to more safe, secure spaces as 229 new transition and second stage housing units open on Vancouver Island and in Metro Vancouver. Ensuring women and children leaving violence have access to secure and affordable housing is crucial to keeping them safe and supported as they take their next step, says Ravi Kalon, Minister of Housing and Municipal Affairs. People fleeing violence have often struggled to find affordable housing because of complex family situations, creating nearly 230 new spaces for them isn't just about providing a roof, it's a chance for a fresh start, helping them break free from abuse and transition to healthier, safe lives. The province for BC Housing invested approximately $98 million in grants for these 229 spaces across 8 projects through the Building BC Women's Transition Housing Fund. The spaces include transition beds that will provide women and their children a safe and confidential place to stay up to 30 days, and second stage units that enable longer stays for women and children who need stable housing and services. Support staff will provide residents with a range of services, including emotional support and safety planning to make sure women and children receive the help they need during a difficult time. Through BC, Building BC Women's Transition Housing Fund, the province is working in partnership to deliver and operate 3,000 new transition, second stage, and long-term affordable housing spaces for women and children. To date, nearly 1,200 units are complete or underway throughout the province. My personal thoughts. Under natural law, these transitional houses for women and children leaving violence is one of the stages in the I Am Cured program. Again, under natural law. Do your research. Check into what natural law and its laws are all about for the people of Canada. Now on to Halifax. Bridges official toll-free, but more work still to be done. CTV News, written by Hafsa Arif. March 17, 2025. After 70 years of tolls, drivers in Halifax experienced the first toll-free crossings of the Angus L. MacDonald and A. Murray McKay bridges on Monday morning. While work to remove the toll plaza for the McKay Bridge is still needed, the MacDonald Bridge is nearly complete. Friday night, crews demolished the concrete barriers that separated the toll lanes. Over the weekend, efforts continued to dismantle the remnants of the toll plaza. On to the video.
Drivers this morning got their first look at a toll-free crossing, which looked smoother, more open, and for the first time in decades, without barriers.
Not confusing as I thought it might be.
The work started Friday night. Crews demolished the concrete barriers that once separated toll lanes. Over the weekend, the work continued, removing the remnants of the toll plaza.
This is about affordability. It's one less fee to pay when needing to go where you need to go. It's money back in pockets for hardworking Nova Scotia.
And some are excited.
Saves people time,
Yeah.
money.
And less traffic, basically. So it's much easier to get around for sure.
But even those happy about it worry.
Teddy is very excited about that, but he wonders about the maintenance of the bridge and what will happen in a few years.
Means that eventually we're all going to be paying higher taxes to pay for the repairs.
While the Bridge Commission says it didn't expect the province to take over the bridges, plans to remove the plazas were underway anyway.
Adopt all electronic tolling. So a big portion of the work was already
basically developed.
So far, majority of the work is complete, but there's still more to do, like building a median and plans for the pylons that remain along the sides.
We're trying to avoid having a funnel effect. Basically, we want to have 2 lanes into the intersection, 2 lanes out of the intersection.
For the municipality, it's a cost saving, often spending nearly $500,000 on tolls for their vehicles.
I'm looking forward to more changes and more advancements in improving the network of transportation across our municipality.
Now, Todd, around this time, people are commuting home from work, so that means that this bridge gets pretty busy. But as you can tell, there's free-flowing traffic, and so that's not the case today. And now when it comes to closures, you know, the Bridge Commission told us that there were going to be 2 closures for 2 weekends. That's not the case anymore. They're saying there's a possibility for that to be extended to another weekend. That means that this upcoming weekend is not the only one where we'll see closures, but the possibility of seeing that the following weekend as well. Todd?
And then, of course, it's the McKay Bridge after that. Arif on the Dartmouth side of the McDonald Bridge, where the toll plazas used to be. Thank you.
Great news. My personal thoughts. Under natural law of Canada, there are no toll bridges or toll booths. The Angus L. MacDonald and A. Murray McKay bridges could be first to be demolished under natural law. Thus, the rest across Canada will follow. What do you think? I am Cindy Lorraine Grais of CLG View Point, and I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for you being here with me today. If you feel compelled to, please share this forum with others. Today we have the wisdom of Muji. Enjoy. He's an amazing, amazing spiritual leader. He's truly loved. Have a wonderful day and see you on Thursday, March the 20th, 2025. Until we meet again.
For your mind to be quiet. Don't even try to become being. It is already. Simply you're here. And when you allow yourself to not get entangled with the mind stuff, don't log into its energy, then everything nicely begins to slow down by itself. By itself. You are noticing just the space of being, and it is so natural. Because it is so natural, you don't give it any importance. Because it is so effortlessly natural. The mind is trying to make you into some spiritual doer. Or you have to do this and stop doing this and get rid of this and become this and all these things. You don't. Just pay attention to your natural being. Don't wait